From NBC News, this is Yesterday with David Scarborough, Vladimir Hakobian, Jacob Hyun, and Nate Poshius. Live from Studio 1A in Cranston, Rhode Island, featuring flashbacks to our news reports of large sports scandals in American history. And now, a flashback to our news broadcast on August 2nd, 1921, covering the Black Sox sports scandal.
Good evening, everyone. My name is David Scarborough. Today is August 2nd, 1921, and we at Studio 1A are receiving breaking news that the Black Sox have been found not guilty. Let us take a deeper dive into understanding what this sports scandal truly was. As many of you know, the Chicago White Sox have been in a bit of a scuffle recently. They lost the 1919 World Series against the Cincinnati Reds, and certain members were soon after accused of participating in a gambling syndicate led by Joseph Sport Sullivan. These members include Arnold Gandil, Eddie Saccott, Oscar Felsch, Joe Jackson, Fred McMullen, Charles Risberg, George Weaver, and Claude Williams. They have become known as the Black Sox. Gandil was the leader of this scandal and had met with Sullivan a few weeks before the World Series to discuss the possibility of throwing the series in exchange for a large payment of $100,000. A few other members of the team were recruited, and they were supposed to be paid $20,000 for every game lost. Everything was going to plan by October 6th, when the series was at 4-1 in favor of the Reds. However, the gamblers had not kept up on their deal, and the corrupted Sox players decided that they would call off the fix and attempt to win the series. They won the next two games. However, after players and their families allegedly received threats from gamblers, the Sox went on to lose Game 8. It is unknown whether they attempted to win or if they threw it due to intimidation from the gamblers. After the World Series, rumors began to spread. It wasn't until 1920 when evidence came to light that the same group of gamblers had rigged a regular season game between the Cubs and the Phillies. With this investigation going on, evidence from the previous World Series began to arise. Eddie Saccott testified, stating, "I don't know why I did it. I needed the money." Jackson, Williams, and Felsch went on to also confess. However, during the recent trial in June 1921, the players faced very little repercussions. This was due to the mysterious disappearance of the paper confessions of the grand jury. Just today, on August 2nd, 1921, the Black Sox were found not guilty.
Hello, comrades. My name is Vladimir Hakobian, reporting from Russian Channel 1 in 1972, the best and only communist news channel in the Soviet Union. Today, we are going to talk about how the mighty Soviet Union defeated the poor Americans in their own sport. That's right, the Soviet Union beat the United States in basketball. Yes, we did it unconvincingly, and there are many controversies surrounding our glorious victory. So let's talk about it. The Soviets in 1972 had a once-in-a-lifetime dream team consisting of many talented Soviet players. The Americans also had many talented players too, but the Americans always had talented players in basketball. However, many super talented players from the United States declined to play in the Munich 1972 basketball tournament. This led to the United States having a very young team playing for them. Regardless, many people still expected the United States to win the gold medal. I mean, who wouldn't expect the United States to get the gold medal in basketball, when they did it in every Olympic game since 1936? The United States came into the final with a 62-game winning streak. However, in 1972, the Soviets were dominant throughout the entire tournament, just as much as the United States. At halftime, the Soviets were winning 26-21. Now let's fast forward to the end, because that's where things get serious. With 3 seconds left, the Americans were awarded with 2 free throws. American player Collins made both his free throws. The score was now 49-50, and the Americans were in the lead. Back then, after the second free throw, it was considered a live ball, whether the shot was made in or not. So the Soviets passed the ball into play after the shot was made and dribbled it out for 2 seconds and then called a timeout. Under the rules at the time as well, the Soviets were not allowed to call a timeout immediately after the free throw, which is why they had to dribble it out for 2 seconds. The timer was now stopped at 1 second. The Soviet coach protested to the referee that he had called a timeout, in which the referee had to deny. There were arguments and confusion as to what should be done, and for reasons unknown, the Soviets were going to be given the ball with 3 seconds left, and the ball would be thrown in under their basket, and the timeout didn't count. The Americans said the Soviets should have just been given the ball where the timeout was called with 1 second left. But the referee ignored this argument. So now the Soviets had one last chance to score with 3 seconds left. The Soviets also made an illegal substitution by substituting their tallest player in because technically the timeout wasn't given, so they couldn't substitute a player. The Soviets bounced the ball in and a player chucked the ball down the court, but the horn was blown and the game was over. What happened? Well, what happened was that the referee said they gave the Soviets 3 seconds, but the scoreboard still displayed 1 second. The game should have been blown over because the scoreboard only displayed 1 second. But again, the referees only listened to the Soviets' arguments and made sure to reset the clock to 3 seconds. The referee also just let the Soviets make an illegal substitution, ignoring the American protests about it. The Soviets then again, with another chance with 3 seconds, chucked the ball down the court and passed it to the illegal substituted player who was like 6'11", and they won the game. The Americans wanted another chance because the substitution was illegal, but the refs didn't care. The American coach was ignored and the Soviets got the gold. Many people believe the Soviets paid off the refs in their favor. But go cry me a river, because I don't care, because the Soviets won. Now on to Jacob with the 2002 Salt Lake City Olympics scandal.
Thank you, Vlad. I am Jacob Hyun, covering the 2002 Salt Lake City Olympic scandal. And with the new Winter's Olympic coming, a new scandal arises. It is currently 1998, and members of the International Olympics Committee were accused of taking gifts and bribes from the Salt Lake City Organizing Committee during the bidding process. Before 1995, however, the city had attempted several times to secure the games, but failed each time. But in 1995, Salt Lake City was announced as the host city. But in 1998, the members of the International Olympics Committee were accused of taking bribes from the Salt Lake Organizing Committee. Nothing illegal occurred, but the acceptance of gifts were immoral and against guidelines, and we'll talk more about it now. The scandal broke when a report came out showing a letter directed to a child of an IOC member, International Olympics Committee member, indicating that SOLC, the Salt Lake City Organizing Committee, was paying the child's tuition. Mark Holler, the head of the coordination committee overseeing the organization of the 2002 games, made the accusation that a group of members of the IOC had taken bribes since the start of the bidding process in 1990 for the 1996 Olympic Games. This led to 4 independent investigations by the IOC, the United States Olympic Committee, the SOOC, and the United States Department of Justice. 10 IOC members were expelled and another 10 were sanctioned, and the investigations had also exposed previous Olympic briberies, most notably the 1998 Winter Olympics and the 2000 Summer Olympics. The 1998 Winter Olympics occurred in Nagano, Japan, and many had suspicions that the committee members were bribed in the beginning, and those suspicions were later revealed to be true. In 2006, a report ordered by the Nagano region's governor said the Japanese city provided millions of dollars in an illegitimate and excessive level of hospitality to IOC members, including $4.4 million spent on entertainment alone. This scandal led to stricter rules being enforced for future biddings and also led to the reform of the SLOC by Mitt Romney, who helped reorganize and refund the organization to avoid any scandals in the future. And now, on to Nate and from channel Studio 1A.
Thanks, Jacob. Hi everybody, my name is Nate Poshkus and I'm reporting to you live from 2017, where there seems to be a new scandal on the rise about the Houston Astros, the Major League Baseball team. This year, the Astros won their first ever World Series, but is it too good to be true? There are heavy allegations that the Astros used technology to steal signs from their opponents to give them a significant advantage. Now for some this might sound a little confusing, so let's break it down. There are at least 10 players on the field at a time, but for now let's just focus on 3, the pitcher, the catcher, and the batter. So for each pitch, the catcher gives the pitcher a signal, or a sign, with hand motions so the pitcher can know what kind of pitch to throw. For simplicity's sake, let's just say either a fastball or an off-speed pitch. When used correctly, this combination can be very effective because the batter won't know what to expect. But in the Astros case, they always knew it was coming. You see, in their home field, they had a camera set up in center field that was fixated on the catcher's hand so they could easily identify the sign in real time. The camera broadcasted to a television screen inside the Astros dugout. From there, a player or faculty member would bang really hard on a trash can every time an off-speed pitch was going to come. If the fastball was there, there'd be no bang. This gave the batter an unprecedented advantage that was crucial to their victory this year. Now, stealing signs is not necessarily illegal. In fact, Almost every organization has someone specifically to pick up on a pitcher's tell or decode a team's signs. It was the use of technology that caused such an uproar in the baseball community. After this news broke, thousands of baseball fans went through hours of game footage to find evidence of the alleged sign stealing, and they found countless instances of audible banging coming from the Astros dugout when an off-speed pitch was about to be thrown. The Astros are undoubtedly guilty, but they have yet to be charged with something. Do the players get fined? Do the coaches get fired? Or do they lose their 2017 title altogether? The jury's still out. Well, that's all the time we have here at Station Studio 1A. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day and enjoy the upcoming program. We will see you all next year.